episode 20 of the 9 Point Start with a Dream podcast.
Welcome to 9 Point Started with a Dream podcast. Our goal is to showcase the stories of athletes and the community that supports them by being authentic about their journey. Here's your host, Jacolby Gilliam.
So welcome back to the 9 Point Start with a Dream podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jacolby Gilliam. This episode, we have Jasmine Grier. Crazy energy, so much passion about what she does. We go through Jasmine's journey from being a girl in Commerce, Georgia, to playing basketball and what she's doing now. Great episode here, and hope you enjoy, and here we go. When you were younger as an athlete, what was one of your biggest dreams or goals?
Yeah, just to play at the highest level that one could play on, and in my mind, that was obviously the WNBA. But it was something about going to college and being around student athletes that I had a pretty good grasp on at an early age, and I was like, man, how cool would it be just to be around other kids who play sports, and then go to class with them. That's what I thought college was. You'd be around athletes all day, and going to class with them. And that was one of my goals. So I thought that was pretty cool how it came to pass.
So you have this goal, and you're from a small town, right?
I'm from Commerce, Georgia. It's itty bitty. No one's super small. The city motto is a city right on tracks because we have railroad tracks that run right through the town. So it's really small.
So being from a small town, what was your thought process? How I'm going to make this dream reality, to get to that next level?
Right. So when I was super young, I just remember my dad, being there and working with me and always putting me in basketball clinics, basketball camps, and he would always kind of position me to play with people older than me so that I can adapt that basketball IQ and also kind of elevate my skill. But at one point as I got older in middle school, venturing into high school, I was like, there's no way, it feels like the world's kind of against me. Being from a predominantly, Caucasian town, I was slightly different, but I adapted the culture really well because I like being outside and fishing and hunting and riding four-wheelers and all that stuff. But, as I got older, I was like, this is it. It's either I'm going to stay in commerce for the rest of my life and probably work for my dad and his lawn care company, and I didn't want to do that. I just kind of always knew that I was going to, but my grades, that kind of wasn't, the best. So it was I know I can play, but my grades are no, you can't, so I kind of battle with that too.
I know a lot of athletes kind of struggle with that because I don't know if we kind of think athlete student a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just think, if I'm good enough, I can go play anywhere I want.
Absolutely.
So if you realize that your grades weren't where they needed to be to get to that point, what steps you kind of take? How do you kind of go about kind of changing that perspective?
Right. So it started when I was a senior in high school, right? I was getting calls, and I played for a really good coach who coached at Gardner-Webb at one point, Eddie. We called him Coach Mack. He won a few championships at Gardner-Webb, which is, I think, a Division I mid-major or low major. Can't quite call it. And so I knew that he had connections. And he did his part. He connected me with coaches, and, he did a really good job of trying to get me in combines. But when they would call and ask, this was the point where I was like, man, I really do have to figure this out. I'm not going to say what school it was, but they're like, Eddie, she's a great athlete and we really could utilize her. But what's her GPA? And I just remember Coach Mack looking up at me, and I was like, and he was like, a 2.1. That's horrible. That's horrible, Jacolby. That is awful. And I just remember going to the guidance counselor office, hey, there's no way this is right. I got 2 A's. I got an A in weight training and gym. There's no way this is right. She was like, just don't hope for hope, which was a scholarship in the state of Georgia that kids get. And I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to make it. And my senior year, I tried to pick it up as best as I could. I wasn't good at Spanish or math just because I didn't apply myself. I was that kid that left class to go to the bathroom, but I was really in the gym. I was that kid. I was like, I'm just going to go the junior college route. because my grades weren't good enough to get me, I guess my foot in the door at first. But I was like, I'm going to go to a junior college and prove to myself that, one, I am a student athlete. So I'm going to go there and graduate with a good GPA above a 3, and I'm going to get my associate's degree. I did it. And that's when I realized, like, you can't, like, your grades have to be on point as a student athlete. Not because they need to be on point for you to play, but they need to be on point, just so after your career ends, you can move into, a field that you desire. And then also, no one can take away your education. No one can take away what's between your ears. So that's just something I believe. But yeah, that's kind of where I straightened it up at.
So how hard was it to have that realization that you couldn't just go from, high school straight to D1 or D2? Like how hard was it to kind of realize that there's almost like a minor setback to your dream?
Right. It was like a punch in the stomach by the Lord. Like, it was tough. It rocked me, and I just didn't feel good enough. I just didn't. I just felt like I was 5 steps behind, but I used that to motivate me to become like 10 steps ahead as far as, working out twice a day at the junior college level, meeting with my coaches daily, for mental, just purposes, trying to stay on track and stay focused academically. So it kind of lit a fire up underneath me saying, hey, if you don't get this, then you really won't go play D1 if your grades don't pick up. So I just use that for fuel. But at one point it was embarrassing when you graduate with a class of 82 kids and you finish dead last and they announce it in front of everybody. That ain't good,
So you really had a small class then, 82.
Oh, 80. Oh yeah. We were like, yeehaw! Right after graduation. Like, it was quick, like an hour and 30 graduation, really quick.
So what helped you decide on your junior college? Was it like a certain thing you're looking for to kind of help you know what you want to go to the next level? Was it like a certain school you kind of chose based on that, or is any school you wanted to go to?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I was getting ready to – so it was – my senior year was getting ready to kind of end, and I got invited to this all-girls school. I can't quite remember the school. It was out in South Carolina, and I remember my family and some of my friends, we all drove up there, and I got to kind of practice, not really practice because that's against NCAA rules, but I kind of played pickup with them. And she was like, yo, you're great. We really want you. I was like, okay, cool. And then later on that night, we all went out to eat. It was kind of like an unofficial visit. And, she was like, well, we can only offer you a partial. I was like, oh, I can't do that. At this point, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need the full. You don't understand. Like, I need this full ride scholarship. And that kind of was a breaking point for me. And I just can remember like it was yesterday. We made it to the first round of regionals, I think. And after the game, we're playing Athens Academy. We're playing Athens Academy. And this girl named Amber Howell, who so happened later on, like down the road, became my junior college teammate. God, it's so funny. And Central Georgia Tech, they were there watching Amber play. They weren't even there to recruit me. And we were just going back and forth. And she would score, I would score. She would get a block, I would get – like we were just really battling back and forth. Few seconds left on the clock. I got the ball, did what I did, shot the 3, went in. My coach had a hunting accident and lost some of his arm that same year. So he was excited, and the refs thought he was calling a timeout, and they awarded us the timeout. And I was like, guys, no, he wasn't calling a timeout. He was clapping. Like, he was just excited. So I got upset about that, and then it was like probably like 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock. I already knew what I had to do. I had to stop Amber Howell. She was I think BZ was 6 foot. She's a really good small forward. And I was like, all right, I got to D her up. This is it. So me trying not to foul her, right? I let her go by me because I'm horrible at defense. I'm just a shooter, really bad defense. So she went right by me, and, she goes up for the shot, and I jump with her. But I don't touch her. At least I don't think I touched her, right? The ref called the foul, got the N1, we lost the game. So after the game, Coach Wallace, she played basketball at Georgia Tech, came up to me after, and she was like, hey. I was like, hey, how are you doing? She's like, you played a great game. Here's my business card. And I was like, what school are you from? She was like, Central Georgia Tech. And I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? I've never heard of this. And that's when, I just went from there. That was the only junior college that I've ever looked into. I didn't think that junior college was a thing until she gave me her business card. So I just ran with it. I was like, yep, this is it. And I got worked it out from there. So
Awesome. It's funny how you're saying that. It's like sometimes how like you just lines up. So once you got to junior college, you're like, okay, this is not my endpoint. This is like just a stepping stone to where I want to be. I got to get my grades right. I got to get this whole, understand what I need to work on. Right. So how did you approach getting to that next level in college basketball?
Yeah, I was all in. I was dedicated. I did not go to any parties. I didn't really go out unless I was going to the dollar store to get toiletries or groceries, whatever. I was dedicated and focused. I studied extra hard. I became super close with my professors. I was always trying to, study later, figure out how to do, group studies and all that stuff. But as far as on the court, I would show up some days way before practice even started, get in a workout, practice, stayed after practice. And then I also, so let's say if we had a team like lifting session, I would lift weights either before or after. When I was in JUCO, I was pretty stocky, but I just put in the extra work. Like I just didn't want to be outworked on the court, off the court, nowhere. So I just made sure that I just took that, that mentality, like no one cannot outwork me because this is the only opportunity that I have. This is the only opportunity.
So for anyone listening, that's like, how do you get to that mindset? Because like I know it's not for some of us, it's not a natural, instinct to just do that desperation. How do you guys say like you kind of turn that on?
Yeah, I would say believe it and visualize that you can get there, and don't let no one or nothing stop you. So I also wrote down a lot of things too. I kept prayer diaries, goal, journals and all that stuff. I was always writing something down of what I wanted to accomplish. And, I would write it down and pray about it. And I would give it over to the Lord, and I would continue to pray about it. And but I was just so forward focused. And I think that you really just have to believe that you can do it. And if you really believe with your whole heart that you can do it or that you can make it to the next level, then your mind will kind of, tell your body, hey, we can do this. This is where we're getting ready to go. These are the things everybody get ready to accomplish. So I just, honestly, for me, it was about seeing it and believing it. Like I would literally, Jacolby, visualize myself. I would get in all these letters, whether if it, was from Wichita State or, from Indiana State or, from any of these schools. When I would open it, I would visualize myself in that uniform, in that locker room, being on the court with their best player. I would always look at their best player. How many points is she averaging? Me literally passing that player the ball. So I just really tapped into my imagination, and I just believed I could do it. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Like the fact that you got every letter, you said you would imagine yourself passing that person the ball. Wow. So when you got the letter from Indiana State and you imagined it, what made you, say that's school I want to go to?
Yeah. So to me, it came down to who is going to be brutally honest with me, who is going to allow me to do things the right way, who's going to help me advance academically. So this is the funny thing. Coach B, my head coach at my junior college at that time, now coaches at North Dakota State somewhere, I have no idea, but she's winning. She's doing a great job. So kudos to her. Coach B invited Amber and myself, Amber Howell, the girl that I played against in high school. We made it to the NJCAA All-Stars, which is a junior college all-star game or whatever. And me and Amber actually played on the same team, that combine, that whole tournament, and never even heard of Indiana State, but I've heard of all these other schools, that recruit me. And Mark just came up to me after the game, and he was like, hey, we'll be in touch, da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, okay, Indiana State. Like, who is that? Hop on Google. Oh, the Bird? Oh, Larry played there? Oh, okay, great. So the Sycamore. So I kind of just was like, Coach, I want them to be my first visit. And when I went, it just felt like I was at home again. Real slow-paced town. And I would narrow it down to people who had sweet tea and a Regis Bank in their area because I was like, I need a bank. So I had like really weird things that was like, I don't want to go to that school because I don't have a Regis. It was really weird. But I just fell in love with the environment, really slow pace, and that's good for me because I like slow paced things, you know. So.
I think that's like a good point because I think a lot of athletes choose a school based on the name without understanding what the town is. Like you're saying, because you go from Commerce, Georgia, that you like, slow pace. You want to go shooting every now and then, go fishing type stuff. So you want it somewhere you can kind of fit in. So I think that's key is so you must know yourself, kind of like you're saying, like you knew who you were.
Right, absolutely. I think it's so important for athletes to figure that out about themselves. Yes, you can go to Alabama. Yes, you can go to USC. I mean, yes, you can go to Duke, but are you going to be happy there? Can you contribute there? Do you feel like you're at home? Do you feel comfortable? Do you get along with everybody, coaches, teammates, the people in the administrative offices? I would speak to Miss Madonna every day because she's really important. She puts the food on my card. So of course I got to speak to her, So it's just, are you going to be happy? And I think, you're right. I don't think as a student athlete, you shouldn't choose a name of a school just because. You got to make sure that you're going to be happy there.
Awesome. So you made it happen. You got to Indiana State. You're at that next level that you always dreamed of. Did like that hunger kind of die down, or was it keep going?
Oh no, it never died. No, that's when you had to really cut it on the most. When I got there, the pace of the game was so much quicker. I was like, they need to slow down. Wait a minute, but here I am leaving the junior college. I'm thinking, man, we're playing really quick. We're swift. Now, I think folks down south play a little bit more athletically. We like to finesse you. We're going to cross you up. We're going to throw, oops. You know what I'm saying? We're going to try to out jump you, like we're just a little bit more athletically. But, when I got to Indiana State, I had to really think on the court. And that was my first time really, having to think that much as far as where to set the pick, the pick and roll, who to hit. We had about 60, 70 plays because, the head coach was so offensively minded. So, but yeah, when I got there, I was like, whoo-wee, and for the first – so I'm going in like, I'm about to play. I just dominated the gym. I'm about to play. Man, I didn't start the first 10, 12 games. We had a 30-something game season. It just so happened, I got lucky. One of the best players on the team got hurt, and Coach Warren, she threw me in there, and it was over with. And no, but that's when I realized, okay, I can't slow down because these girls, they're good. They're good, and I always said I wanted to play with the good girls. I was good, but they were great, so I had to kind of match them.
I can tell, like by your energy, that you had like a drive that just wasn't slowing down.
No. I mean, I got excited about little stuff. If one of my post players got a block, I was like, yeah, let's go. Like they called me the spark at one point. They're like, this kid brings the energy. Like, I was just always trying to, just bring everyone in and just get them hyped and like, let's go, y'all. Like, we can do this. Just try to bring a different type of feel to the game. So,
what helped you kind of stay positive? It sounds like you just like to have that energy, like you're saying, the spark to just stay positive. So how did you like finesse that?
Yeah. So it was crazy. My locker was right next to Anna Munn, which was one of the, remember how I was telling you, I would kind of research, okay, who was the best player on the team? My locker was right next to hers. So it was really cool seeing her, stay in her mental state of, doing things the right way, staying focused. And she kind of served as a really important person to me in the locker room. And I looked up to her. So I was like, I got to follow her footsteps. I got to stay positive about everything too. And know that, our number one goal is to get better every single day. And that's what I was striving for, which was anytime I stepped on the court for practice, I was locked in. I knew I had to stay focused, but also bring my own type of swagger too. you know. I'm a different breed. You know, majority of the girls are from Massachusetts, from the Midwest type of area. And here I am, this old country backwood kid. So, of course, I had to, you know, bring my different type of aura to the locker room and to the court. So.
That Southern charm.
Right. Southern charm, right.
That Southern swag, you know, how we do it.
That's it.
How we
You're from
do
Oklahoma. Y'all got it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm from Dallas, so it's like we know that Texas forever, you know. We got
right. It's something about Southern folks, man.
sweet tea and peach cobbler.
Oh yes, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I'm gonna stop by Zaxby's after this and get a sweet tea.
Oh, that sounds good. So you're there on the big stage, you're making it happen, you're starting now. What is your process for when it comes to the next after Indiana State? Was it like you were still WNBA, or was it still I want to get back to the game? What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was so focused on now really quick. Head coach that was there my junior year left, took a job at IU. Oh, that broke my heart bad. Broke it bad. But she's doing great. She's got coach of the year. In the Big Ten or something like that, I think. She's doing great. So we had a change in roles. You know, head coach is now more defensively minded. I'm not. So that threw me off a little bit. So I was like, uh-oh, here we go. So I tried my best to stay as positive as possible. And I was doing very well, having great games, you know, doing the best that I could. And so right after we graduated, I had a few tryouts. And so one was actually back in Georgia, so that was perfect. I got to visit my family that weekend and et cetera. So we're on the court, we're going. You have all these girls who have the same ambition as me. And so I get a fast break layup. I'm like, man, I'm about to slap backboard on this. I'm about to, go up for the layup. Shot gets pinned off the backboard. I said, yep. I looked up at my sister. I said, you ready to go? Are you ready to go? This ain't for me. No. But yes, I mean, that's always been my dream. But, I came to that realization, like, okay, you got a really bad back. Like Doc said, if I keep going the way I'm going, it could end up badly. I've had 2 knee surgeries. Okay. So at one point I felt like I was giving up. I'm not going to lie to you. I felt like, man, this is what you've always wanted since you're a little kid, and you're just going to settle to move on and try to get your master's degree? Okay. So now what? So I woke, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to keep it 115% with you. I was very, very depressed for a while because all I knew, Jacolby, was how to be a student athlete. Wake up, lift weights, go to class, have practice, watch film, probably do something else with basketball. Like basketball consumes your whole life. And then it just said, and I was like, God, like what's going on? I feel empty. Why am I sad? I feel like I don't have a purpose anymore. And I felt like that. And every single day, once I graduated, I woke up and I was like, there's no point in me trying to be here anymore. Like on this earth, like I feel like my purpose was up. I feel like I served it. I played. I brought joy to the game. And, sometimes God will put you on a different track to show you your real purpose. And I think he's kind of done that now. Like now I see it. But then I was like, I can't do this. I miss it. I need it. Like I need to go to the gym and get on the gun and put up shots. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's real right there. Because so many athletes can go through that feeling like, what's next? And if you get hurt, you're just like, what's that next step? So how did you like overcome that within yourself to know that you have a purpose that God kind of maybe like lining you up to see that you just haven't saw yet? How did you kind of transition through that?
Right. I went to a lot of church. But no, I just started to really get to know myself more. Like I felt like everyone knew me as Jazz, the basketball player. And I felt like there was more to just Jazz, the basketball player, and I had to figure that out. And through that, after the season, I started going, and I'm just going to keep it 110%. I'm just going to be blunt. I don't care. I started going to counseling to kind of reshape my mind and kind of tap back into some old childhood things that kind of still bothered me then. And I picked up the guitar, and so I can play the guitar a little bit. So there's more to Now you have Jazz, the basketball player who can play the guitar, who's kind of not sad anymore about not playing. Then I took an athletic director's job. That was the coolest thing ever. And I said, okay, so now there's Jazz, the basketball player who can play the guitar, who's an athletic director who now can give back into the lives of kids, right? And I loved that. I figured out I went to school for recreation sports management, and I've always loved programming. Like, I was always huge into programming events for youth, and I love it. So having a job at that caliber to where I get to plan like athletic events all day for kids, but they don't see me working 18 hours for them to have a game that Saturday morning, but they're out there smiling and they're happy. And I'm like, man, these kids are happy. They're doing something that they love to do that could potentially one day lead to them playing at the collegiate level. So that's when I kind of fell in love with, programming and helping youth become better. So that's when I kind of was like, okay, there's more to me than just basketball, but hopefully one day I can venture back into that as far as like making it full circle, but not playing, but somehow giving back. So, yeah.
So now you're outside the game. Like, what are you doing right now? So I know you have Grier Athletic going. So what all are you doing right now? Kind of making your purpose work.
Yeah, absolutely. So post athletic director's job, I took a position at Indiana State as an admissions counselor. So back on my stomping grounds, that was fun. Then I was like, ooh, I'm sitting down way too long. I'm very hyperactive. I gotta really, something just wasn't right inside. And I was like, okay, something's not right. So let me listen to what God's telling me. So then I took a position at the WBCA, which I'm at now, which is the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. I don't even go to work, but I go to work. I love what I do now. It's so awesome. But yeah, so on the side, we have Grier Athletics, Jacolby, and man, it is great. I get to finally be back on the court and, pour into the lives of young, inspiring basketball players. So I get to train every single day of the week, and it has been the most rewarding and blessed, fulfilling thing that I could do. Like, I'm just so happy. Like, no, I'm not in the WNBA right now. Could I? Now, that's another story for another day. But no, it's fun. I love Grier Athletics, so I love training. It's great. It's great.
So what's it like now, kind of being a little outside the game as a player, but now being able to give back to the game? What's that like? What's that feeling like?
It's very humbling, because at one point I had a few coaches who were able to like encourage me and empower me. And I feel like God has given me the duty to do just that. Like, I have to be able to lead them by one example. So what I do, wear, say, on and off is very important. But not only that, I can help kind of guide them into what it is that they want to be. I have, one kid that I train who wants to be a dental hygienist. Great. That's awesome. You can clean teeth all day but have a nice jump shot. Like, how cool is that? So I feel like I have a huge responsibility in making sure that I can at least pour into them what was, poured into me at one point. So it's very fulfilling. God's good. God's good, for sure.
All the time.
That's it.
So for anyone listening right now, maybe they're like about to graduate from college, they know they're a student athlete and they want to fulfill their purpose, they want to get back to the game. How would you advise them maybe how to go about that approach?
Yeah. If they know, whether if it's injury or just might be by ability, if they do want to play at that next level, I'll start there. Do not give up and outwork everybody, because that's what's going to get you there. Hard work. You gotta get in 3 or 4 workouts a day. You got to make sure you're eating right. You got to make sure that you're taking care of your body so that you can get there. Figure out where the next combine or tryout's going to be at. Make sure that you're participating in everything that you can so you can get there. So 1, don't give up if that's what you want to do. 2, if you're like, okay, the professional thing is not for me, my next thing for you is going to be, what would you do if it wasn't just a regular 9 to 5? What would make you the most happiest? Would it be painting, portraits of, the world and you selling them on the streets, whatever that may be? Figure out your passion and what's going to make you happy and also how is it going to bring value to other people? So just figure out those two things. What is it that you want to do, and how will it bring value? And then put your faith in God and just step out on faith, because faith is being sure of what we hope for, certain of what we do not see, and believe you can do it, and visualize yourself doing it, you'll do it. So that's what I would tell them.
Love it. That's great stuff right there. So as we kind of look towards the future, what's next for Jasmine? What things you want to accomplish, you want to achieve as we keep pursuing?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now I'm working on a book, so I really need to be able to get that out soon. But I think that I'm more of a trainer. I kind of take the Kanye approach, which is weird because Kanye is kind of arrogant sometimes, but he's awesome, but he's great, but he's kind of like, I don't know about Kanye. Kanye says that he believes he can do anything and everything. So I want to be able to tap into the tech world a little bit, but I also would love one day to own my own facility and be able to just let kids have a cool, safe, fun environment to where they can grow their game, but also, grow this as well. So I think that'd be pretty cool too. So yeah, I think that's going to be the future of Grier Athletics, and also working with you. I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. So. Yeah.
Hey, I love it. I want to be Jay-Z, so we can do like Walk the Throne Part 2 or something.
Right, right. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I see it happening. I see it happening for sure.
Right.
Where can people kind of find more about you? Social media, websites, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. My IG handle is Grier_15. My Facebook is just Jasmine Grier, JasmineGrier, like Pam Grier, the R&B singer. And I also have a website. So if you just kind of want to read a little bit more about my bio, kind of where I've been, what I've done, just visit GrierAthletics.com. And, that's where you'll find me. So, yeah.
Awesome, Jasmine. I always enjoy talking because your energy is just contagious. And it's just and you can feel your passion about, wanting to help athletes and stuff. So I'll enjoy talking with you.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm just so grateful to have been a part of this. I think 9 Point is on point. I'm telling you, you're special. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm just know that I'm very humbled to have been a part of something that, you have a big vision for.
Yo, thanks for listening to this episode of the 9 Point Started With a Dream podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, share, leave a review. We would love to hear your thoughts. You can find more athlete-driven content at 9point.com. Till the next episode, you're only one opportunity away. Peace.